Welcome to our first district community meeting, where this evening we're going to focus on public safety as well as beach patrol. I know that others may join us as we move forward. This meeting will also be recorded, available on our YouTube channel at youtube.com. Search for Gary Common Council. It's also currently other questions that we ask you use the chat box to make known to us. I'll then provide some general overview of things that are happening, and then give you some information about upcoming activities, events, and meetings. So let's hear it from our Chief Brian Evans.
Good evening, and thank you for having me be part of the public safety meeting that you're having for the first district. It's always an honor to get an opportunity to speak with citizens in reference to law enforcement and your police department. I have a few updates that I want to speak about, but let's talk about our current initiatives and things that we have going on in the city. One of the things I've been talking to citizens about in every meeting that we have is the need to not leave your car. It's not so much a issue now that the spring is here, but the last few days have been cold, to please not leave your car running and unattended for it to be warm. That is just an opportunity for someone to take your car, and we've seen a very large rise in that in Northwest Indiana as a whole. What we have not seen is an increase in violently felons taking your car, carjacking, or forcible armed robbery for your vehicle, what we traditionally call carjacking. That is something that is actually had increased last year in Illinois and many other states. We have seen that trend go where people take your cars when they're running. And over the last few days, it's been cold and people do ticket. Our annual clicking and ticket enforcement that we do in conjunction with the state will begin in May. We are doing it citywide, but we do have some specific areas we will focus on to address this issue. We hear those speed comments and questions all the time, and we've had a significant increase in motor vehicle accidents. I won't just contribute that to people being pent up in COVID. I will also contribute that to this time of year every year during the season when people have their tax return. We always get quite a few new drivers that may not have been driving regularly in the past. You see a lot of paper tags. A lot of people buy cars with their tax returns, and this year with their stimulus checks, they are buying cars. You see a lot of cars out there, and sometimes those drivers are very, very new back to driving, and accidents are happening all over. So we're going to be doing our clicking and ticket enforcement as well as some other traffic enforcement all over the city beginning May 1st. In addition to that, I want to speak briefly about our police commission. I've said this at many council meetings, and I've encouraged our citizens to please attend our police commission meetings here at the police department the first Thursday of every month. They're open to the public. You can see a great transparent process where all of the business of the police department and the police commission is discussed, including the good deeds our officers do, the commendations they receive, as well as any discipline, whether it's verbal, written, or even higher. I encourage our citizens to attend that and to become more familiar with the police department. Lastly, when COVID is finally somewhat behind us and we are able to get back out in the community, we're going to have a Citizens Academy. We're going to open it up to the public, and we would like for all of our citizens to attend. You'll have to apply because sitting and attendance will be limited. But I think it's important for our citizens and citizens in general to know how your police department works. I find a lot of times that citizens are very confused about some of the things that the police department is responsible for, or the things that the police department can actually assist you with, or the services that we provide, as opposed to some other city departments or some things that are outside of our wheelhouse. The Citizens Academy is a great opportunity for citizens to actually learn how your local police department and police departments in general work all over. Uh, Lastly, I want to speak about the FEMA site and the vaccinations. So currently, the city of Gary has 4 sites for a person to receive a vaccination. 2 are local. One is our Gary Health Department. They're providing vaccinations at the Holy Angels Church right across from the public safety facility. Every Tuesday and Thursday, you must register with them online and you can get vaccinated. I believe they're using the Pfizer shot, but I'm not positive on that. You can also register at our local hospital, Methodist Hospital, North Lake on 600 Grant Street. Register online. You can get a vaccination there. That's why I got my vaccination. And we have two FEMA sites in the city now. One is located at Roosevelt High School on 25th and Harrison. You will register online at garyhealth.org. And you can, that's a drive-through site. They can handle up to 2,000 vaccinations a day at that site. And FEMA just opened, the State Health Department just opened up an additional site at Westside High School. You must register online for that as well. That's a walk-in site. The state just opened up vaccinations to anyone age 16 or over. I encourage those that, after you speak to your physician, to get the vaccination. As one who had COVID last year and had very serious side effects, I encourage everyone to get vaccinated so that we can get back to some normalcy. With that, I'll turn it back. I'll turn it back over.
Well, thank you, Chief Evans. You presented a lot of information. Before we move to Detective Lilly, I wanted to ask one question that's here in the chat box, and that is, do we have a traffic patrol specific for each district or neighborhood?
Sorry. No, we do not have a traffic patrol specific for each city, district, or neighborhood. That's manpower driven. We usually have 2, sometimes 3 traffic units for the whole city. As you know, our manpower is down and has been for the past few years. We're working on increasing our manpower. So what we do to supplement that, in addition to the traffic officers, whose primary responsibility is traffic enforcement and taking the traffic accidents, we've spread out those duties throughout patrol. So before, you would have to wait for a traffic unit to come take your accident. We've spread those duties out and retrain our entire patrol division to be able to serve you better in case you have an accident and you need servicing then, so you won't have to wait for one of those officers to get to you. We also use our OPO, our Operation Pullover, Click It and Ticket, to do traffic enforcement all over the city.
Thank you. One other question that I got while we're talking about patrol is that one resident noted that there were police vehicles that I guess were patrol vehicles that did not have identifying numbers on them. So if residents wanted to call in and say, hey, I saw, vehicle number 123, and this is what I witnessed, or this is what I'm seeing, that wouldn't be possible. So is that the case? And if it is, why was that the case?
We have a couple of different programs for unmarked vehicles, and actually beginning this year, we are reinitializing the marking of our vehicles to match all of our vehicles up and to have more marked vehicles on the road. We've actually brought a few vehicles back online that were wrecked or in accidents that previously were said couldn't be fixed. We use a Ford Explorer as our primary police vehicle, along with the old Crown Vics. I won't go there with you, Councilman, because I'm all the time. But the largest number of vehicles we have in the fleet are our Ford Explorers. They're aluminum frames. They're aluminum bodies. And at one time, people didn't know how to fix them. Well, over the past 2 years, that has changed. So we've brought a number of those vehicles back online. However, because of COVID, the striping and identifying the graphics are very, not difficult, but they take time to get. So in some of the cases where you may see a vehicle that is marked but doesn't have a number on it, that's the case. It may have been an accident. Identifying numbers on vehicles are in 3 places: on each fender, on the left and right side, and in the rear of the vehicle. In addition to that, all of our vehicles, no matter who's driving the vehicle, if it's a police vehicle, it has a GPS locator on it. We can locate or find out historically who has driven any vehicle that's under our jurisdiction at any time. So if you want to know or have a situation where a vehicle was on your street and you have a question, we can readily identify who was in that vehicle and actually which vehicle it was.
Thank you. I have a question. This is something I've seen in other communities, and that's kind of like a roll call where the officers will come out into a particular neighborhood, a particular district, and sort of line up and sort of make themselves very visible in an area. And it's an opportunity for residents and community to come out, to meet the officers, to get to know who the officers are, and vice versa, as we seek to really enhance our community policing efforts. Is that something I would certainly would be interested in doing it this summer, looking at all of our key neighborhoods in the first district and sort of kind of really strengthening that relationship. Now, I guess part of the, concern I have in general is ensuring that as much as possible, we have the same officers working in the same districts. I know we have 4 policing districts across the city, but as much as possible, if it's a consistency in who's doing the patrol work in a particular area, that you're able to build a relationship and everybody knows everybody, if you will. So I'd like to do something like that. I think it could be called a roll call or meet and greet, where different neighborhoods within the district can really get to see those officers and develop that relationship. So I want to know if that's something that has been done before, and is that something that we can work on, socially distancing and so forth, outside this summer?
So it's a great question. We actually did used to perform outdoor roll calls up until 2018. And then we went to the ADP system, and all of our officers had to come to the station. And because of that and time, we had to cease that program. In addition to that, with COVID, we even stopped doing the ADP punch in because we would have to clean the machines every time the officer punched in and out. Probably a meet and greet or something similar is quite possible, especially as more and more people get vaccinated and we are able to open back up so that citizens and officers can get to know each other. We do generally try to keep officers in the same district as much as possible. However, there are some times when officers may be switched out of a district for operational needs or manpower. We like to have officers, and this is how we train them in our FTO program, to get to know all of the city. It's important for you to know the businesses and citizens, let's say in the first district, but it's equally as important for that officer, in case he's working overtime or is needed in another district, to know exactly where he's going. There are places in the first district like Sunrise Road and other places which, if you've never been down there, you're not
Right.
familiar with them. There are places like that also on the west side of the city and in Glen Park. So during our FTO program, we do move officers around, and periodically we will do the same. Although we are 54 square miles, we're not a huge city, but we are a larger city. So I would love to do something like that in the summer, to try to do a meet and greet. I think that's the best way to do it. And maybe do something in each district so that the individuals in the district that want to come out, your citizens, the precinct committee men, yourself, and each one of the districts can get to meet the officers there as well as the patrol commander and get a better working relationship so we know each other. I do agree with that.
Well, thank you. I didn't warn you that I was going to ask that, but I
Okay.
appreciate your willingness to do it. And I will work with you and Officer Lilly and others to coordinate a time for that this summer, of course, being socially distant and responsible. I also got another question related to noise violations. And I guess it was a little bit of confusion about what the rule was. I believe the understanding is that after 10 p.m., the noise ordinance goes into effect. But a resident was told that that wasn't the case. I believe I'm saying that correctly. But in general, what is the rule when it comes to noise issues and when residents call into the police to handle those?
I think a resident should call us anytime they believe the noise is excessive. Let us come out and make the determination if that's happening. There's a few different rules with that. So with construction noise, which is sometimes what people are hearing, the rule that I was told by the building department back in 2018 was that at 7 p.m. or sunset, all construction work needed to cease for the peace and tranquility of the community. If work was done after that, this is not in our wheelhouse, but we can go out there and stop the work. It's something that really should be done by the building department, but we can invoke the construction company to stop a work at sunset or 7 p.m. If it's a noise violation, let us come out and judge that, because it could be something excessive like loud music, or it could be something as benign as a continuously barking dog that maybe the owner needs to take care of. I've actually had that complaint quite often about, and I don't know how we stop a barking dog, but we do want to come out and assess and then meet with the citizen and see if it's something that we can deal with. So I think the greatest answer to that is just give us a call and let us see.
Thank you. We have an additional question related to that in our chat box, and it says, in terms of the training for officers and the continued training for officers, are they trained in city ordinances, to know as things change, what the rules are so that we're all on the same page?
So the city ordinances that the officers are most familiar with are ones that are related to activity that we encounter, such as loud music, seatbelt violations, or criminal activity, or any activity that we can fight on. We are not that familiar because I think, Councilman, you can speak to this better than I can. Our city ordinances are the thick as Encyclopedia Britannica, and there are things in that ordinance box that we really don't have the expertise to act upon. Most importantly, or first in my mind with that, are building violations or construction violations, or even traffic. We had a situation just recently where a road was closed and people were calling us to find out if it was legal, but that's not something that the police department actually determines. That's something another department deals with. So the short answer is, if it's something we deal with, something that we write a ticket for, yes, but there are many ordinances on the books that we actually would have to look up or actually call for some support with.
Thank you. And I know that one area that we're working on is the codification, which comes out of the clerk's office, because that has not been done in over a decade. And of course, we've made various modifications to ordinances, created new ordinances, and there needs to be an easy way to sort through those and find the relevant rules depending on the violation. So definitely point well taken. I wanted to ask about the Citizens Academy that you mentioned. So you said, is there a particular sort of time frame we're shooting for to open that up?
We're actually very mindful of COVID and social distancing, and trying to make sure where we will follow is the health guidelines by our federal government and our local health department before we do that, because that's something that you really have to do in person. It's something that really doesn't, you could probably do it on Zoom, but I think it would be better for it to be live or simulcast, maybe some Zoom, some in-house. We've done them before, and they're very informative and they're very, very good for the citizens. So I'm looking at summer or fall for that to happen, because I believe by that time, we will be getting back to normalcy. We will have more people vaccinated, and we can do it in a safe manner.
Thank you. This time we're going to turn to Officer Lilly. Excuse me, what did you say?
One more thing, I'm very sorry.
Oh, Chief Evans, go ahead.
I'll be remiss if I don't say something to Coach Condon, school track coach, and I'm very glad to see him and see him healthy and safe. I know a lot of people on here, but I must say hello, Coach Condon.
Yeah, absolutely. He doesn't like Zoom, but I'm sure he appreciates that.
Good to see him.
Absolutely. This time we'll have Officer Lilly, who can discuss our beach patrol readiness for summer. Officer Lilly.
Good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
All right. I am Officer Lilly. For those of you who don't know me and who are new to the First District, I am the Beach Patrol Supervisor for the beach. And for those who haven't seen me due to COVID much, I'm back. Here I am. So beach season is upon us. And of course, what my job is to supervise and prepare us and have us readily available for any emergencies, and to keep patrons, citizens, officers, and everyone safe during beach season. So a couple of things that are that will be coming on board or coming online this season. And when the city shut down last year for COVID, unfortunately, the beach didn't. or fortunately, the beach didn't. And we actually had more patrons coming from all over. So I think they found out the best kept secret, and everyone decided to come over. And with that, you want to kind of beef up your security efforts and keeping everyone safe so that everyone is here and able to have a good time. So we will be starting patrols the first weekend of May. We will not be waiting until Memorial Day to actually start patrols. We are still at the amount of manpower that we've had, including the chief being graceful into allowing reserve officers to do their reserve time patrolling the beach. That helps us out tremendously throughout the season because as the regular beach patrol officers are, we're only allotted a certain amount of funds to work throughout the summer. And so we have to stretch those funds out for the season. And then, to start before the season and even maybe a month or so after the season. So we can keep things going and keep things safe. So we will be starting that. We will be starting patrols first week of May. So we will be starting to close the gates. I know the gates at Lake Street have been open and the aquatorium gates have been open, but we will begin starting to push that initiative and pushing the time initiative and the curfew initiative as it relates to the beach. So the beach times, and most people know that are here in Miller that the beach times is from dawn until dusk. The beach closes at dusk, so that means that all vehicles are, escorted out, and unless there is some type of event or something like that, beach parking and whatnot closes at dusk. Some other safety measures that we're using: we are equipping our officers this year with life vests. And that is because last year we experienced a couple of near drownings closer to the shore where officers actually had to get into the water to help and pull individuals in that may have gone out too far and help the lifeguards out. I think we had a couple of Lake County officers that were awarded for their bravery, and that's because they had life vests and were able to kind of go into the water. Now, while we won't go beyond our means as far as life vests is concerned, we will begin those efforts and trying to help out more as it relates to rescues, and that's adding more equipment. So also we will be getting more water safety measure efforts, and that is getting I think we have a life raft online that we're currently working to get back online. So if there's danger inside of the buoys or just beyond the buoys, we'll have a quicker means to response, and we don't have to wait solely on the other municipalities that come and help us. We can try on our part. I think the fire department is also, the fire chief recommended a device that you kind of shoot out to an individual that is in distress, and they grab on, and we kind of reel them in. It's almost like a fish hook type of deal. That's another piece of equipment that we are adding. We will also be doing more traffic patrols throughout Oak Avenue, Lakeshore Drive, on coming around the beach to towards Grand Boulevard and Hemlock Avenue. And that's with so I've been given one of the newer vehicles, and my vehicle number, you'll see it on the vehicle, is 204. So that's my number. It's a pickup truck, Mark Gary Police, and my vehicle number is 204. So whenever you see that, wave, yell, do something, and that's me. Um, so just more efforts with providing safety and security, so we don't have to, you know, uh, so we don't have to, I guess, count on, or we're sick of having even a drown in a year is too much for us. We did go about 2 or 3 years where we didn't have such, and we'd like to keep that streak going. So I am myself and Beach Patrol, the other Beach Patrol officers. We do enforce the code violations as it relates to the beach, and they are well aware and well versed in those code violations as it relates to the beach also. Um, we have talked about adding speed bumps to Oak Avenue and to the ticket booth, because a lot of times we'll get individuals that'll just drive through the ticket booth and will not stop to pay or things like that. So that is still ongoing with traffic control. They would have to do those type of measurements and whatnot as it relates to speed bumps along Oak Avenue. But as it relates to the parking lot and ticket booths, we can add those speed bumps um, anyway. Um, and I think that is it. I do work first district. The chief has graciously allowed me to stay in my hometown where I work. I know mostly everyone out here in the district. And the upside to that is that when we hear a call or get a call over the radio, and we may even get a suspect name or victim name, we automatically know, where to go, what's going on, or what had happened previous, and that gives us a better understanding on how to handle the situation. So the officers that work out here in the first district are the officers that are usually here every day. And like the chief said, it is definitely a plus of being well versed throughout the city, because when we do have overtime, or I get called out a lot as a negotiator or a tactical to go into other parts of the city, and we need to be well versed there. So I do also continue, and I see Mr. Cobb all the time. I almost want to give Mr. Cobb a badge, but Mr. Cobb might do more policing than any of us put together. But I do see Mr. Cobb all the time. I drive down his street multiple times a day when I'm patrolling. I'm on Oak Avenue, Lakeshore Drive, throughout the apartment complexes. So I'm always patrolling, patrolling our area. So as it relates to the beach, looking forward to another season with everyone, and another safe season.
Well, thank you, Officer Lilly. What was that, your vehicle number again? Did you forget some alphabets in front of it, or I'm messing with you? I'm messing with you. Thank you so much, Officer Lilly, for all that you do and for that update. We got a question here related to the golf carts. Do we have a plan to do golf cart permits this year? I know last year, I think it was a little messed up, in part because of COVID, I believe, but what is our plan this year?
I think that was mentioned at the council meeting before this last one, that golf carts permits will begin, and will be beginning at Marquette Park Pavilion. I'll check to see specifically, and First District Councilman, you can post it as soon as I get the information as the specifics and the dates and times. But I think that is supposed to be happening, I would say, within the next week or so. And I believe it's supposed to, say that again, Chief?
1st of May is the date I was given by the Parks Department. They're going to be conducting them, but we can find out and give them to the councilman to post. You're absolutely correct.
Thank you. We'll get that done. Another question here, and this is something that I've definitely gotten questions about. How will you enforce the bike lanes? Cars always violate the bike lanes. I know that it has long been an issue around the beach area in terms of the street parking, but it is also now an issue on Lake Street that the new bike lanes are in, especially outside of the liquor store. We've noticed people who are parking their cars on the bike lane. So what is our plan with regard to that, uh, Chief Evans or Officer Lilly?
So I'll take the beach chief, and then I can also piggyback on the Lake Street one because they call me the Lake Street Bike Lane Terminator. Because anytime I see anyone parked on, especially it's a pet peeve of mine to park in the bike lane in front of the liquor store on the west side of the street, and in front of the Miller, the
Arts District.
where the old where the old drugstore used to be. And and I immediately pull over, tell them to move. But one thing we run into over here, as it relates to the parks, it's almost like you have to put a sign in every single space for individuals to see it. And then if they don't, what we like to do is try to give them a chance to come to their vehicle. Because when we go to their vehicle and they're parked there, a lot of them are parked there either trying to watch kids at the playground and whatnot. And when we go to the cars and there's no one in them, but we see bike seats and handicap or disabled placards, we try to give them the opportunity to come back and get their car. And we'll give a citation before we go to immediately towing vehicles. So if a vehicle has been sitting there, and we usually give them a grace period of maybe 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, which is a grace period of a traffic stop. Beyond that, then we'll begin initiations to tow the vehicle. Usually they're really good at moving, but when you get the same vehicle and we get it more than once, then we immediately go to towing the vehicle out of the bike lane. A lot of individuals that do park there, of course, are either new residents or out of town residents that come there and park, and they park in between the signs. And we say ignorance of the law is no excuse, but we have 3 sets of signs. We probably need to put 3 more signs in between those. So when you park in front of that sign, I can take a picture when I tow your vehicle and you go to complain on me and say, hey, you parked in front of a no parking sign that said you'd be towed. So we're going to initiate that early, the bike lane. So, hopefully everyone can start following suit in reference to the bike lane.
Thank you. Additional question came in. What is the policy for parking on the grass areas?
So there's no parking on the grass unless there's an event that deemed where there's no other parking available, and if the event causes for more parking to be available for the event, and that has to go up the chain of command to get the okay for individuals to be able to park in their grass. Otherwise, there is no parking in the grass. It's just like if you go and you park in front of your house and you park in the grass, that's a code violation. So you're not supposed to park in the grass, and we enforce that here at the beach.
Thank you. Question here from one of our Facebook viewers. Are driving violations seen by citizens, especially if documented on video, useful to turn into the police via 311?
Only in cases of an accident, especially a hit and run accident. There's a thing called the misdemeanor witness rule, and then we have to follow, and we have to be mindful. Even though you have a vehicle violating a city traffic device or something like that, it would be very difficult in many cases to prove who was driving it. So when we write a violation to a vehicle, many times the person driving the vehicle is not the registered owner. Sometimes they're not even a person that is on the registration period. So we can't write violations for moving violations just to the owner. They have to go to the licensed driver. If it's a parking violation or an accident, of course, that would be helpful, but not to 311. We are a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week service. We would prefer to get those on our department email. You can email either me, it's on the website, or any one of our traffic division officers. Their emails are on the website. We would like that directly. I know 311 is a system that the city uses for a lot of things, but the police department is a 7-day-a-week, 24/7 service. And it doesn't make sense for us to go to 311 to try to search out that information when you can call us directly at 219-660-0000 for Lake County Dispatch. And you can get someone immediately or as the call volume allows. If it's something that you want to post to us, like what you said, I would prefer that you email it to us directly.
Thank you, Chief Evans. I do want to note, I don't see any additional questions. Ms. Carol Smith, who is with our Shoreline Committee, I want to announce that she is hosting a meeting. It's our annual Beach Patrol meeting. And of course, you don't have to live in the 1st District or in Miller to participate. This is open to anyone in the city who is interested in and concerned about public safety as it relates to the beach. So it's the Shoreline Committee is hosting the annual Beach Public Safety Community Meeting. It will be May 6th, which is actually my birthday, 2021 at 6:00 p.m. Central Time. The presenters will include Lake County Sheriff's Department Chief Oscar Martinez, a representative, Lake County Sheriff's Department Sergeant Jim Weller, Gary Police Department Chief Brian Evans, Beach Patrol Coordinator Detective Simon Lilly, Gary Fire Department Chief Sean O'Donnell, Gary Fire Department Dive Master David Evans, a Gary Park Department representative, the Marquette Park Pavilion Administrator Kamisha Jackson, and the Indiana Dunes National Park Director Kim Swift. Carol is on. I want to give her a minute just to talk about the Shoreline Committee and how they work with our police department and other city agencies to ensure, I'm putting her on the spot, by the way, to ensure that we have
Hey, Carol, I'm one of her biggest cheerleaders.
Me too. So Carol, take it away.
Okay, hi everyone. You know, we used to have monthly meetings, and of course with COVID, we just can't do that anymore. So we want to continue to have our annual beach safety meeting, and obviously Officer Lilly and Chief Evans are going to be a part of it too. But we also include Lake County, and just a minute, I got to turn this other thing down. 1 second.
You know, really out there.
Okay, sorry about that. We work with Lake County and Gary, fire, police, and the park department, and we pride ourselves in the coordination of all these people and departments so that we can work together. I know that the chief and our Gary Police Department and Fire Department appreciate the assistance of the Lake County Sheriff's Department, especially in overseeing the activities on the beach and the water. So we try to pull everybody together and try to help everybody, you know, get along and cooperate and give, you know, residents information periodically about what's going on. If you want to see our updates, just join MCC and the Miller Message, or you can pick up the physical copy of the Miller Message, which is included in the Lakeshore Shopper at different businesses. And it always has our news and events coming up and so forth. So anyway, it's an opportunity to learn about the plans for the park and a little bit of repetition from this meeting, I assume, because there's some plans already in place. We're looking forward to those speed tables or speed bumps or something in the park to slow down the traffic. Anyway, thank you for letting me speak, Mr. Godwin, and we hope you can join us too on May 6th.
Thank you. Thank you, Carol. She's been working for a lot of years, and not just with the Shoreline Committee, but also with the Garden Club, Friends of Marquette Park, and in so many ways. So we definitely look forward. I'm going to try to step away from my birthday activities and come on for a
Oh,
point
that's right.
during the meeting, but certainly looking forward to it. And I know that Officer Lilly and Chief Evans will work very well with our Sheriff Martinez and all the players who are critical to ensuring that there is beach safety and that everyone knows the rules. One thing I wanted to just point out before we move forward was to get some clarity on a couple questions here. We have a questions. There has been an increase of residents along the Lakeshore Drive route encroaching on public land. How are you addressing this issue with the city? So I think this is particular to folks who may have built structures and other objects that are beyond their property line. And it kind of goes toward where the dune grass is often and into the beach. This is a code enforcement issue in part, but I don't know whether, Chief Evans, you have anything to add to that. I did get a call earlier today from our corporation counsel related to this, so I know it's something that's brewing. It's not new. We've had this issue before with folks who built kind of structures and almost decks in some cases beyond their property line. So, Chief Evans.
I do know that in the recent past, the law department, Attorney Pohl in particular, addressed some of these issues in the first district along the shoreline with 2 different residents, all the way to making them remove the structure and establishing their property line and what was essentially city property. Some of the confusion, and I don't want to speak for the Attorney Pohl, but I do know from speaking with him, because it also impeded some of our beach patrol activities with the ATVs. But some of the confusion on the part of some citizens or new residents was that even though that is the Indiana Dunes, it is still city property. The city has the management and authority over anything beyond your property line. And the beach is, of course, the Indiana Lakeshore, but it's within the city and within the authority of the city to administrate, and manage. So Attorney Pohl would be more adept at answering what the remedies for those were, but I believe he took at least one person almost took him to litigation about this issue.
Thank you. And also, just for clarity, I know about alcohol use on the beach. I don't know whether Officer Lilly or Chief Evans wants to address, just for clarity, what our rules are in terms of even residents, because sometimes people complain about they see someone using alcohol, but then they themselves have a glass of wine at the beach. So just to be clear, whether you're a resident, non-resident, visitor, what is our rule as it relates to alcohol use on the beach?
All right, so I think that would fall up under me. So there is no alcohol. There's no alcohol allowed on the beach. That is a city ordinance, and I believe that is also a state ordinance as well for any parks. If you are caught drinking, you will be issued a citation, and it is also considered public intoxication. So up into an arrest, and that nature. So it is absolutely not allowed on the beach or in the park area. So if you are caught, and you can be prepared to receive a citation up into an arrest, depending on the officer's discretion and the situation of everything,
as well as the confiscation of your alcohol.
Yes.
And I just like to say this: in many of the cases where we've had accidents and incidents where people have lost their lives in the water, alcohol has been one of the primary factors in that situation. Alcohol in Lake Michigan swimming is just a bad idea in any sense of the word. So we don't allow it.
Thank you. One question here, is it true that if we can't get a response from the Gary Police, we can call Lake County, I guess the Lake County Sheriff's Department?
So Lake County works with us at the beach. So when you call dispatch, you are calling the county. So there's no different number for them. Lake County dispatch dispatches all of Lake County with the exception of 2 jurisdictions and that are further south than us. So if they are out there in the area working in the beach, they can be dispatched just as we can. If you call specifically asking for a county officer, I'm sure you may get a response, but calling Lake County Dispatch, you're calling Lake County Dispatch, and they're going to dispatch the closest officer to you.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank again Officer Lilly, as well as Chief Evans, for making themselves available. I also see we have our newly minted Sergeant, James Bond, just a few weeks ago, who's also on our call. Always want to recognize all of our public safety personnel, longtime detective. As we now transition, we're going to definitely have Chief Evans and probably Officer Lilly back later this summer, or early fall. I like to keep that in rotation because I know we have a lot of these challenges ongoing. We're definitely going to follow up with the chief in organizing I'm going to call it our meet and greet roll call, not the official roll call, but a meet and greet roll call, where I want to do it if I can in at least 2 neighborhoods. If I can get 3 neighborhoods out of you all, that would be great, because we are a geographically diverse district, but at least 1 where residents can come out and meet the officers who work in District A, which is the 1st district. And we want to establish that improved relationship between the community and our police officers. So we're doing that, and definitely as I get information about the Citizens Academy, I will make sure to get the word. I may try to be in the academy too. I may try to get the word out to the community. Officer Lilly, did you raise your hand?
Yes, I did. One
Okay.
more issue that has become real prevalent, especially throughout the 1st district, are ATVs. Okay, ATVs are against the city ordinance and cannot be driven. What I would suggest, and this is for ATVs and UTVs, is that you kind of try to get together and do the same thing that you did with golf carts, because ATVs are illegal and we are seeing them being driven more and more. And, you know, we get individuals out here that helps us out with ATVs, with plowing and stuff like that. But unfortunately, ATVs are illegal to drive in the city.
Thank you, and duly noted. I'm still working on getting a golf cart, so I haven't gotten to the ATV level yet. But I know that is an issue, and we certainly as well will get out the information as soon as we can about registering golf carts. As a reminder, there will be the meeting on May 6th, the Shoreline Committee. Ms. Smith is raising her hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, I noticed it in the chat that one question about encroachment on public land was directed to me. So I thought I would just say that, you know, the city doesn't patrol the property lines of our houses or our property on a regular basis to, you know, they just don't go walking along the foredune to see what's going on. And so if you know that, if you see there's any new encroachments on the beach, you know, like new owners that probably maybe don't know because they just bought the property, that's usually kind of what happens. Or they see the old things that have been encroachments that are, I guess, grandfathered in now. But supposedly the guidelines are no new encroachments. I don't think they're going to deal with all the old stuff. There's just so many, but no new encroachments. So if you know people that live on the beach and they're concerned about that issue, you know, they need to contact the city, either Rodney Pohl or Mr. Godwin or your precinct committee person or someone. I'm not sure what the city would prefer you contact, but you know, if nothing else, the law department, and just so they're aware, and then they can take it from there, and you don't have to get involved. just, but, you know, they can't, it's just like our streets or people who run through stop signs or people who throw out trash. The police can't be everywhere. And especially snooping around in people's front or backyards, I guess you'd say. So, you know, but we really do we want our neighbors to be happy. We want to get good relationships, but we also want to protect our Dune and the property of the city. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. One last question, and then I'm going to move on with announcements. The question here is, what is the strength of the police department? I don't know exactly. I guess that would mean in terms of human capital, resources, and so forth. As much as you would like to share that, Chief Evans, that's the final question that I just received. What is the strength of the police department?
We have 154 sworn full-time officers currently employed with the Gary Police Department, 33 reserve officers, and we are hiring 8 officers in May. I cannot give the date because I have to confirm that with the Board of Works as well as the city administration on that date. And we will be hiring 8 for our next academy, which will start in August. And we are currently taking applications, or we have been taking applications continuously and have a process of hiring going on right now. This last group actually took their physical agility and drug test on Saturday, and they're doing the written examination this weekend, and hope we will get this group processed and send them and probably hire them in October or November for our January academy, as many as we can.
Excellent. And they didn't ask this question, but I'm curious. If one wants to become a police officer, what is the process? And I guess their follow-up question is what do we need to be at full strength, or at, I guess, our ideal capacity?
So let me take your question first, and then I'll take the ideal question. Applying for the Gary Police Department is through our Police Civil Service Commission here at the Gary Police Department at 555 Polk. You can contact their administrator, Angela Brown, at Brown, as Adam Brown, BROWN, at gary.gov for email communications, or you can call our office. I am not sure of her number, so you can call our front desk at 219-881-1214 during the hours of, let's say, 8:30 to 4:30, and ask for the Police Civil Service Commission, and she can give you information on how to receive an application and apply. They are moving toward placing their process in an online form where people can apply for the job in an online manner, so we can get a wider berth of applicants. The requirements are that you must be 21 years of age by state law to enforce alcohol laws. You cannot have any felonies or Class A misdemeanors. Class A misdemeanors can prevent you from carrying a firearm, such as domestic battery or a very serious driving issue. You must have a valid driver's license, be a citizen of the United States. College is not necessary. You don't get any preferred status for it, but you do get a bonus if you do have any college, either an associate's degree or above. And that's all you need. And you must be able to physically pass a physical examination given by the Civil Service Police Commission, a drug screening, and you must complete successfully the Indiana Police Law Enforcement Academy here, either in Hobart at Knightlear or in Plainfield. Those are the requirements to get on the Gary Police Department, and I encourage people to apply. Right now, the entire country is going it's very difficult to get people into this profession right now with everything that is going on. And it's also very difficult to get people back to applying more regularly. So we encourage everyone that wants a job to apply and give it a try. And we want everyone that qualifies to become part of our department. As far as our strength, we are currently, I said, at 154 with all the numbers that I gave you. After we hired that 8, we'll be up to 162, 163, because we've got a couple retirements coming up. But we're budgeted for 200. And we've hired every year for the past 7-8 years. And we've hired everyone on the list. And that trend of not getting enough people to apply is something that happened way, way, way before what's going on now. it's difficult to get people to want to be police officers and to want to apply, not only here, but nationally. So we would love to have 50 more officers. We would love to have more applicants. But in this last application process that we had, that they took their physical agility and drug screen Saturday, it was less than 50 people that applied. That is a very low number because of the rate of people that will wash out, for lack of a better word, because of background, drugs, or other problems that they may have at this time. We have about a 60% washout rate with applicants. So in the process where we're hiring these 8, we started with 101 applicants, and we hired everybody that was eligible and wanted the job. We ended up with 12, and only 8 of them really wanted the job at the end of the day. We offered it to all of them.
And what's the age limit?
21 years of age to apply. 36, you must be hired before your 36th birthday. If you have no military because of state perf to be able to get in a pension system, you can be up to 39 years of age if you have 20 years of enlisted military service, continuous. Well, if you have to get in before your 39th birthday, and that's so that you can retire before age, I think, 65 to receive a full pension. That requirement doesn't apply to any of our county departments throughout the states because they're not in perf. So most people say, well, that's not true. It is true. The county departments in all of Indiana are not in perf. They all have their own perf or own retirement systems funded by their county taxpayers. All other police agencies are in the state perf system, which is our retirement, and they have those age limits: 36 with no military, 39 with 20 years of full-time service.
Thank you so much. That's we'll also have Eric Reeves, or a designee, to discuss our parks in each area of the district, their condition, our plans for them, and areas of improvement and opportunity. So that will be on May 27th at 6:30 p.m., our next First District community meeting. It is Earth Day, so we certainly want to raise up the issue of environmentalism and making sure we are protecting our Earth and our planet. And it is Gary Green Week this Saturday, April 24th, 2021. Residents can bring their hazardous materials, their waste. I'm going to read this as part of Spring Clean. And Environmental Stewardship Day is Saturday, April 24th, from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. at 455 Massachusetts Street in the parking lots. Bring any items that are listed on the flyer. You can call 219-882-3000, 219-882-3000 for more information about Green Gary Day this coming Saturday. Again, the Shoreline Committee meeting will be on May 6th. As many of you know, I have been sending out letters on a regular basis. Our next First District mailer will go out in mid-May. It will have updates in terms of meetings for the summer. It will have information about property tax appeals. Many of you were at our meeting on Monday. We had almost 80 or 90 participants between Facebook and Zoom. I will have additional information in that packet about how to appeal your property taxes, how to know how your property is being assessed, the relevant forms and other contact information for you, as well as the links for those who couldn't watch the meeting. You'll be able to go to YouTube to watch the meeting again if you missed it live. But to that point, if you have not been getting our mailers, please call the Common Council office at 219-881-1315 and ask for Sherry Smith or Whitney, and we can make sure that you are on our email list as well as our mailing list, that you will know what is going on